Hello, my name is Kishelle, and I'm here to introduce Mr. Cheerful Science from ReviewㅅELEVERAM. This 12-book series introduces the basic principles of science in a very cheerful, pleasant manner. Here, young learners can learn about all things in the natural environment with natural science. The first book that I really love in this series is all about the sun. So here we have 고마워 태양. 고마워 is a very useful expression in Korean. It just means thank you or thanks. Usually young children use this expression. And now that we know this one, it's very easy to learn the second word, 태양. Can you guess what it is? Most certainly the sun. So thank you, sun. In this particular book, we're learning about how thankful we are for the sun and what it's really useful for. Through the storybook, we follow this main character and how he hates the sun. He wants to sleep all day and he likes it dark when he sleeps. However, we need the sun for our natural environment. In this story, we learn how the sun is so useful for everything that we need in life. Throughout the story, he starts with understanding that it's a little bit chilly without the sun. You can see the characters are a little bit shaky. Here, we can learn new expressions based on how the characters are looking. The story continues with the animals. So not only were the people a little bit chilly, but now so are the animals. Continuing on with the story, we also can learn that we need the sun to grow our food. Here we can see the really great facial expressions used in the illustrations. Not only is it a very dark environment, but now we can also see in his facial expression how bad the situation really is. And what I like about this book, it has little short tips here to help us better understand the uses for the sun. The book continues on and how devastating it would be without the use of the sun. So I really like this book series, and I really like this book in particular because it makes it very easy to understand why the sun is so useful and so necessary. As we get to the end of the book, we learn how the sun is so useful and how the difference in color really helps us understand that. Here, we see the character very happy and everything flourishing around him. That way, the students can understand how important the sun truly is. What I really like about this book as well is that it takes it a step further. So we're not just looking at the sun, now we're completely in outer space. We're learning about satellites, planets, and rocket ships. Everything that goes around the sun. Another great book in this series talks all about bubbles. What I like about this one is that it's something that all kids can definitely understand and remember. We all know bubbles, we all know how to make bubbles, but here we can learn just a little bit more about bubbles. In this story, it starts with the bear seeing some bubbles, but where did they come from? So it's a nice way to introduce the friend to the story. Blowing bubbles all around. In this story, the bear doesn't know too much about the bubbles, but now he learns so much more. In the story, he thinks that he can ride on a bubble, or float with the bubble, or be inside the bubble, which he totally cannot do. But it's also good about this story is that we're learning more sounds. Here we're learning what sound it makes when the bubble pops. In English, we would say pop, but here we've got pop. So it's really nice to learn, and we can use these all around for our everyday life. We also learned about the shapes. And because we know from before that this black coloring in the pictures, it means this cannot happen. So it's a really great way and very easy way for students to understand that you cannot make these shapes using bubbles. So I like that about the story is that it continues on to ensure understanding from its students. So here we have the star shape, yet all of the bubbles make a circle shape. So the illustrations are really great to see and have the students understand what it means to make bubbles. We also have another form here, hoo, when we blow hoo. So it's really great that you can use more Korean in order to speak about your everyday life. Our last one, we also talked about coloring. You cannot make a single color in these bubbles. And again, we know this from the black coloring in the book. So this book is very consistent on what we can and cannot do. And the coloring in this book and the illustrations really helps that for young learners. And then we see the different colors that are made from the bubbles every time we add something to it. So what I really like about this book is that it continues on. So we know what we can do, we know what we can't do, and we also see that in these bubbles, pictures can be magnified. The illustrations do a really great job of explaining what bubbles can do, can't do, and the different sounds that we can make when we pop them. Just like in our last book, we see different facts about bubbles. How we make bubbles, the shapes of the bubbles, what is inside the bubbles, and what happens with the different colors of a bubble. So just giving extra information about what we already learned. So this will be a great tool for teachers specifically to bring out different vocabulary, to explain to the students in more detail, and perhaps even make a little test or quiz afterwards. And again, we wouldn't have a science book without a nice experiment. So here again, you can do this at home or in your classroom, and you don't really need too much supervision. So it's really great for kids of young ages and older. Using just water, a little bit of soap, and you can make your own bubble maker. And what I like about this one is that students can use their own shape, because in the end, it doesn't matter. The bubble will always come out round. So they can do their own experiments and try their best to make a different shape. What I really like about this book series is that it can be used both at home or in the classroom. It's a really great way of explaining simple science things in our natural habitats, in our natural environments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content and you would like to learn more about these books, look at the description box below. Bye.